All right, welcome everyone, and thank you so much for joining our user symposium today. My name is Brittany Wood, and I will be your host. So joining us from WebCheckout this morning, we have Eric Dodson, Jeannie Clark, and AJ Ootman presenting for us today. And these sessions will be recorded, and for audio quality, everyone is muted. So we do expect that there will be many questions. So if you have any, please use that Zoom chat feature, which you can find by moving your mouse towards the bottom of the Zoom screen. Now, please be sure to send your questions in the chat to everyone so that our team will respond. So as a quick reminder, our call recording is turned on. So good morning again, everyone, and welcome to those of you who just joined. For those of you who just joined, my name is Brittany Wood, and I'm an account manager at WebCheckout, and I will be your host today. So we have 2 very exciting days of discussion and training aimed to help you and your team grow with WebCheckout. So let's take a look at our agenda together so you all will know what to expect. All right. So this morning, our first session will be led by Eric Dodson, and he will be discussing where WebCheckout has been and how WebCheckout is growing. At 12 p.m., Jeannie Clark will be leading a session previewing August 2022, some new features in our upcoming release, and also discussing a few staff favorite features. We'll take a short break between 1 and 2 p.m. so you all can continue eating potato chips or tortilla chips if you prefer. And then this afternoon, beginning at 2 p.m., we'll hear from Bill Stark at Franklin and Marshall College, and he will be talking with AJ Ootman about the Facilities app. All right, and then at the end of the day at 3 to 4 p.m., I'll actually be leading a session discussing how to improve your user experience with RRT, bundles and kits. All right, so we've seen what our agenda includes today. We'll go over tomorrow's agenda at the end of the day today, but that is it for me. So Eric, without any further ado, it is off to you. I'm going to stop my share, and you should be able to share your screen.
Hi, and I think there might be a little ado while this old man attempts to share his screen. It ought to be slightly humorous and maybe a little pathetic.
We're all here to learn and grow today, so that's okay.
All right, so how's this? Can everybody see the screen? Can somebody nod maybe or something?
That looks great.
Okay, thank you. So there's the agenda that Brittany's already reviewed, and I'm gonna, it's kind of fun to think like what kind of a presenter you're gonna be. Like, is it gonna be the sort of Steve Jobs pacing back and forth, on the stage, in that contemplative? I think Elizabeth Holmes was a little bit like that too, and talking about the non-stage stuff is probably irrelevant, but there's that sort of contemplative thing that they like to do, and that I would look terrible in a black turtleneck. I'd probably be so uncomfortable I would pass out. But I could be like the if you remember the famous kind of Microsoft guy who's jumping up and down, sweating. That'd be a little bit more like me. But we're doing a Zoom kind of presentation, and it's completely different. And I am going to try to engage us just a little bit during the course of this. So we can get a feel for who we are. Right now, it's my screen, my voice, and however many people out there. I can't see the full list, but a good chunk of people out there. And let's get a feel for who we are. So anyway, again, my name is Eric Dodson. I am actually the founder of WebCheckout. We were a software developer for hire in the 90s, and we ended up forming this relationship with the School of the Art Institute of Chicago, and that led to WebCheckout as we know it today. We have been doing this for a long time. I'll get into some of that, but not too exhaustive. But I am going to ask some questions during the course of this, and so maybe let's bring up the chat and learn how to use the, I think it's a respond button that's there on the bottom. I can't see it as a presenter, so we can get a better feel for who's out there. So I think everyone's going to start with something like this: fun facts about me. not necessarily descending order of fun, but I grew up in LaPorte, Texas. I moved to Chicago in the 90s. Chicago's my home. I love the city despite its reputation, and I think it's a fantastic city during the habitable months of May through November. But I still am a Texan. I still have family back there. I need to go back, and I maintain things like my Texas mug so I can retain my citizenship for mostly going back and visiting. I just on a personal level, I'm completely entranced with 3D printing, and I spend an inordinate amount of time trying and failing to do like 3D prints. And there's a if you've ever known anybody who's into 3D printing, it is more an addiction than a hobby. And there's a kind of an N plus rule. I play guitar, and there's a rule for guitars too. How many guitars or how many 3D printers do you need? It's N plus 1. However many you have plus 1. And so like I currently building a 3D printer, and I really love it. And next week, actually starting Sunday, I'm going to be taking my first RV trip ever, and I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays out. But I am driving. I'm going to be doing a lot of the driving. It'll be me and my partner, and it's been a longstanding policy of hers, or not policy, but desire of hers to do something like this. We'll be going to Bryce and Zion next week. Really looking forward to it. But I think this is, I've been camping many times. I think this is what you call glamping. I see Sean Farrell is on the call, and I think he's done, more than most of us on that sort of thing. So I'm going to start out just talking about web checkout just a little bit, and I'm going to ask some questions along the way. So I don't know, did you know web checkout has been around for around 20 years? We started this sucker with the School of the Art Institute of Chicago. We already had a relationship with them, but they went out to bid. We won the bid, and we developed it with a lot of their vision in mind in the very beginning. And I'm very proud to say they're still customers to this day. There may be someone on the call from SAKE, we call them. So let me ask you this question. This is our first attempt at a question. When did you adopt web checkout? Okay, how many of you, and I'm not gonna be able to see this, I don't think, how many of you adopted in the last year? Either click the thumbs up, or go ahead and just type something into the chat. I can't really see the participants list.
You guys can react maybe with a thumbs up or a smile. We could see those reactions. I see Marilyn's waving.
Oh.
Looks like John Krisham has been here since 2016.
Okay, well, I'll definitely be, thanks, John. I'll be getting to that one here in just a sec. How many of you are in the last 2 years? So maybe in the COVID era, how many of you joined in the last 2 years? Oh my goodness, 2009. So what about 2 to 5 years? How many of you have come on board in the last 2 to 5 years? I can't see any of the responses, so I'm assuming that there's
Looks like we have 2 folks.
2 folks in the last 2 to 5 years. And then how about 5 to 10 years? So since the time of, was it the Mayan calendar or whatever that ended and the world was supposed to end? How many of you came on board since then?
4.
4. And then what about, maybe I'll skip the 10 plus, because I know that some of you are out there. How about since time immemorial? Like, we don't even know when. Paul Brown, I saw you were out there. I know you guys are probably of the time immemorial camp. Big deal, maybe you too. But point being here, web checkout's been around a long time. We've seen a lot of changes. The web was still in 1.0 when we first started doing this. I don't know what version we're in of the web right now, but it's been a long time. I have one more kind of facet to this question. How many of you were part of the decision to go with web checkout, to adopt web checkout?
Looks like we have 3.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank
4.
you. 4.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. And thank you for those of you that weren't part of the initial decision. Thank you for continuing to stay with WebCheckout. There are choices out there, and we have to remain relevant in order to keep your business. I did forget, on my previous screen, to thank all of our team here who has worked, put in a lot of time, the account managers, tech support. We've all kind of put in a lot of time to prepare this presentation. I think it's really well thought out, and I do think it's going to be a very informative and hopefully very useful for you as we go on. So my little second do you know fact, that we have about 250 customers around the world. And I think, the majority of them are in North America, but we also have customers in South America, and we translated a good chunk of WebCheckout into Spanish, or the patron portal into Spanish. We have Asia, Australia, Europe, really we got most continents covered, not Antarctica. And I think the University of Antarctica uses manual labor for theirs, but we've got a pretty wide reach here. And one of the things that we've seen is that the problems for inventory management are not really like regional problems. They're the same all over the world. Our most recent customer here is Lund University in Sweden, that our expert salesperson Sean worked with for quite a while to bring on board. Lund is very prestigious. For those of you that don't know, they can trace their roots back to the year 1425. And I think at that time, WebCheckout was in beta, the tablet version, but it was the stone tablet, and so they really are one of the oldest universities in Northern Europe, and they have, I believe, 7 campuses with 260 programs. It's quite an honor to be working with them, as it is for all of us, for all of our customers. But I thought, wouldn't it be nice to know maybe where are you? And maybe this is one for the chat. If you just let us know where you're located. It could be the school you're at, or the institution you're at, or it could be the location, the physical location that you're at, just to get a feel for everyone here. Where are you located? Again, I can't see anything. Chicago. Thanks, Jeannie.
And state, WCU. Whoa, a lot of answers. Western North Carolina, Loyola University, Chicago, Tuscaloosa, Alabama, Roll Tide, SAIC, Oberlin College, California, Ithaca College, London, Ontario, Minneapolis, Minnesota. There's a lot. East Bernard, Texas. That's Sean. Franklin and Marshall from
We
Lancaster.
can all read them. Yay, we're all over.
Yeah, so it's exciting. There are a lot of people all over. There's certain concentrations, of people and of the areas. For some reason, the hotbeds. But as you can see, they're all over North America. I think that due to the time that we're offering this, it's probably more of a focus on the people, a couple time zones on either direction of Central Time where I'm sitting. But hopefully the customers who it's late at night will be able to join us, or join the recording and get some value out of this too. So one other little thing, I just have a couple of questions here and we'll get cracking, but most of our customers are in higher education. Probably 85–90% of our customers are in higher education, but we do have customers in production, broadcast, and digital media. And just as a side note, a lot of those customers came to us because they're graduates of your programs, and they went into industry, and the people said, we don't have anything to manage this, and they said, well, you use WebCheckout in college, and that's how we got into some pretty big names, including some news organizations and that kind of a thing. It's a small, these are smaller groups for us, but they're relevant, and we're very proud to have them. We have houses of worship. We have government agencies. We even have a large auto manufacturer that uses WebCheckout to manage a specific type of equipment. So quite a few industries, quite a few geographies, a pretty wide reach here. But despite all of these use cases, and that's a term of art that that we throw around a lot, but it's a kind of a computer software term of art. Despite all these, we find that the vast majority of the uses and the requirements are very, very similar. There might be different relationships between the inventory manager and the patron. And like in the case of a academic institution, it might be they might have more like punitive policies and punitive measures, whereas in a production environment, it's a supportive kind of a relationship. There are differences in things like this. There are course enrollment data that's relevant to higher education, but not relevant to some of these other industries. But largely speaking, the vast majority of the features apply to all of these different institutions. And again, more alike than different. And but even within higher education, I have two more questions. So even within higher education, we have a lot of different kinds of departments that use it and a wide range of applications. And again, a lot more alike than different. But let me ask you this. What does your department do? How many of you are instructional technology departments, what you would call traditional instructional technology? Anybody?
Looks like we have 3.
Thank you.
4 teams.
All right. What about like events? How many of you use WebCheckout for events? And a lot of times that is an instructional department, an IT department, instructional technology. But do you use WebCheckout to manage events?
So it looks like we have 3 folks who have said yes to events, and it looks like we're just a few slides off. Would you be able to click forward on your screen share, the forward key? Then we can see your questions.
Well, I'm kind of rolling them out one at a time. What about film schools? There's a chance my video has frozen or something.
Looks like we have 4.
4 film schools. All right. Film schools are, there are a lot of really great features in there that can help film schools. They have a lot of things that they're checking out to people, and they have huge inventories. What about journalism or some other kind of media studies? How many of you are in that? Is my screen up to date? Can you see journalism, Brittany?
I cannot, but would you like me to share my screen and I can navigate to the slide? Yep,
yeah.
I'm happy to do that.
All right, slight wardrobe malfunction or like a malfunction here. I just stopped.
All right, so we're talking about different departments, is that correct?
Yeah.
All right, we got it. We're back to our regularly scheduled program. Thank you folks for your patience.
Okay, and then a couple of these are going to require a click to get them started. But so then what about the next one, property management or risk management? Anybody doing something like that? And then, what, does anybody do anything besides this list here? It'd be great to know if some of you are using it for reasons unknown or maybe something I didn't think of when I was making up this list.
Looks like we have one client that uses it for all of these departments.
All of them. Okay, interesting. Yeah, we do have a pretty decent number of our clients are enterprise customers. And, and some of them are doing it for one reason or another, but it's for unlimited use across campus. So anyway, there's one more question after this, but let's go ahead and skip. Okay, so in addition to circulating equipment, how many of you use it for rooms and facilities? Thanks, Brittany. You know, I gotta pull the curtain up slowly. So what about rooms and facilities? Are any of you either scheduling the use of the rooms or using it to track rooms in some way? Cinema studios, yeah. Okay, so all right. What about, let's skip on to the next one, Brittany. Permanently installed equipment. How many of you use it for non-circulating equipment to just kind of track that, you know, like we have projectors installed in these rooms and, you know, I want to track all of the audiovisual and computer equipment that's installed. How many of you have tried to? Well, John, we need to talk to you. Let's get you there. And server racks, that's interesting. Studio and editing. Okay. Let's go ahead and advance. How about consumables? I'd love to know if any of you are tracking consumables or, you know, even if you're not using WebCheckout, but it's a problem for you, like, let us know. Like, is that something that is in your sphere of concerns? You know, and that could be, by consumables, I mean, you know, it used to be media, blank media, but it could mean inks or glues or anything that kind of goes away and never comes back. Yeah. So a lot of times you see it in, oh yeah, John. So yeah, there might be some things that we can help you with to make that work a little bit better, but definitely we see it in shops a lot, you know, where they have things that go out and then don't come back, glues, inks, that kind of stuff. What about, let's move on, Brittany. Repair and preventative maintenance, just tickets in general. How many are using WebCheckout for just tickets, like taking equipment offline? Maybe you used it during the pandemic for measuring, you know, kind of like keeping track of what's been quarantined, or just servicing rooms, scheduling cleanings, scheduling preventative maintenance. Interesting. Okay, so I think there might be one more. What about just general inventory tracking? So I know many of you, including public institutions, go ahead and click on, please, Brittany. Particularly public institutions have requirements to kind of put your hands on things and report that you have conducted an inventory. I'll call it stock taking. So let's go out there, put our hands on everything. You know, we have the ability to add condition notes and say what kind of condition it's in. How many of you actually do that? And I assume many of you are doing it annually. I know Annie, you guys do it, you know, semi-daily or something, at least used to. And so interesting. So yeah, so there are a lot of different uses of WebCheckout besides this booking process. Let's go ahead and skip slides. And so why did we call this thing Grow? And part of the reason that we came up with this is we were kind of reflecting about WebCheckout over the years. We were reflecting on our customers over the years, and we're reflecting on the industry in general over the years. And it just seemed like there's a growth or a maturation, you know, that's happened on all three of those aspects. And I know, you know, as I mentioned before, our friends over at the School of the Art Institute of Chicago who had this vision, you know, they're mostly a walk-up operation at the time. And so people walked up, they made reservations, they walked up, they made checkouts, they walked up to return things. And that's what they were dealing with in 1999. And so our product reflected that very much. And when we took it on the road to other customers, we soon realized that we needed to add all of these features. Excuse me, delivery and event support, billing, patron self-booking kind of came in not necessarily as a particular institution, but as mobile devices permeated, the world. And the repair and preventative maintenance subsystem that was a necessary part of managing inventories was something that really needed to be factored in. Our product grew in many ways because of those differences between schools, those things that were different between one school and the next, and to satisfy those. And so we accommodated those needs based on the feedback from customers. And that feedback loop, I think, is a part of future growth. And then we're going to get into that. But it was conversations with people like you at trade shows, at dinners, at on-site visits, at tech support calls, account manager calls, all those kind of things led to this sort of realization that we could do things better in our product. And it led to inclusion on the roadmap. Go ahead and advance, please. So yeah, in short, like bookings were one thing. And, in the beginning, I think we would have told you we were a booking system with a really rich set of policies. But then, we grew to these things that were adjacent to bookings, pre-production things. I left off green lighting on the previous screen, but, green lighting was something that film schools needed and other events groups need to capture all the metadata about the bookings that were going to be happening, and the tasks associated with them. So we grew to support those kind of things. And one way that we want to grow kind of in the future, and one kind of baseline goal that we have that's not really so much a feature or set of features is being able to track everything in the life cycle of a piece of equipment. I mean, we would normally say from acquisition to decommissioning, but I would go so far as to say from requisitioning through the records of decommissioning, so that you can have a record of significant events that happen to it, to make judgments about like whether this purchase was successful, or whether we should buy more of these, or whether it cost us more money to maintain than to outsource the whole thing. Like we want to give you that kind of data to make those decisions, and to do that, we really need to have all those decision points, all those points kind of referenceable. And if we don't capture it, you're not going to get access to it. So we still, like, decommissioning is a weak spot in WebCheckout that we need to address. And in some cases there are decommissioning processes where you need to know where it went, and in some cases you have a process you need to follow in order to decommission something properly. Like maybe there's hazardous material, for example. But in addition to just those points of data, we want to track the chain of custody. Who's touched it during this time? And we feel like that's a necessary data point in who's not only who's checked it out and returned it, but what inventory has it been part of? What courses has it served? Who's owned it? Where has it been side graded, downgraded? And all that kind of information. It's all very relevant. So you can go on and go back to move forward a couple slides and go ahead. Yeah, so here we go. So another reason for the growth of the product and everything was you've grown. When we first started doing this, we might have referred to WebCheckout as a checkout system. In fact, the name implies it's a checkout system. And so we were satisfying a basic need. And there's a little bit of something that I would liken to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, where if your biggest pain point is managing checkouts and late checkouts and knowing who's got it, then that's the thing that's at the surface. But once you get that one out of the way and taken care of, these other things start coming to fruition. And to better manage your department, you want to kind of address the list down in starting with the biggest pain point on down to the biggest time savings. That's maybe not the biggest pain point, but a different kind of value. And when we started, like our most of our clients were in the basements of libraries. They were instructional technology departments, and they were part of a group that lent books. And I think they looked at the instructional technology a lot like lending books. When we started, reports were one of the things that people really asked about, mostly so they could run it to see who was late or what bookings I had today. That's data. But now, what we're seeing more and more is that people want to make data-driven decisions. They need to make inferences like about, how to staff for the time of day, the time of week, the time of the semester, how to make good decisions on how to spend your money, your equipment budget. And there are a lot of different factors. It's difficult to know, kind of have a gut feeling about something like that, and the industry itself has moved towards more data-driven decisions as opposed to anecdotal or kind of a gut feeling. We all want to see data. There has been a need to integrate with other systems that, like, honestly, I can't remember the last deal we did, the last customer relationship we formed that didn't require an integration of some sort, whether it be an enrollment system or like a SSO, single sign-on kind of system, LDAP. Originally it was Blackboard and then Sakai and Canvas, and like we're being asked on a constant basis to integrate with things, and that keeps evolving. But more or less, I think we're all being asked to do more with less, and I think that's something that I feel like we can all relate to. There's a sort of a underlying hope that computers will be computers will be labor-saving devices at some point, and we're still pursuing those goals of efficiency and of optimization and getting time back and all that. It may be a fool's errand, but we're still pursuing it, and we're all continue to ask to do more with less people, less budget, and that requires making better decisions. And so while web checkout is great as a booking system, we do see it as a decision support system, and we want to continue to push it in those ways that are meaningful to you. And we can't tell you really what decisions are the most meaningful to you, but we can respond and give you the data that you need. So go ahead and move on. So where do we go from here? And I already sort of alluded to this. We're going to complete the lifecycle management with the decommissioning. We're going to take all those data points. We're going to make sure that we're providing the data you need for budgeting, forecasting. We're going to do better tracking of turndowns, which I feel like is a utilized function within WebCheckout, where if you knew you were turning down that like quarter of your students couldn't get the equipment at the time they needed it, like that might inform decisions that you'd make. And going back to the budgeting and forecasting, if you knew that 25% of your inventory was scheduled to be end of life next year, that might inform your decision. Or that maybe your utilization rate on a particular camera is up over 80%, that and increasing over the years, that would inform you. We need to give you that kind of data. We want to give you that kind of data. It's going to be different for each one of you, and it's going to require sort of like ascertaining what is the most valuable. And the last one on here, workflows. I think it's a tough one to get your head around a little bit, but a lot of things in web checkout are, you the operator are the workflow. If you need to add certify people, there's a certification process, and you want to add them to a certification, or you just want to add them to a group. and let's say they're coming in via email, the professor's saying, add Joe, then add Sally, then add Sam. You have little choice but to look, transcribe from your email, look up that patron, add them to the certification, go to the next email, kind of do the same thing. And we feel like the way of the future for us is to sort of implement those kind of workflows into web checkout so that you as an operator or as a manager are presented more with decisions. So, Professor Joe has asked Sally to be added to this authorization group, yes or no? And the communication and all that's kind of taken care of for you. It's a computer, it's a process going to work for you as opposed to you kind of being responsible for every step of the process. We see that as a big part of our future, and it's going to show up in a whole lot of different ways. So anyway, let's go ahead to the next screen. So what drove the growth? And again, it's you, it's corny, and maybe I should have put a picture of an ear of corn here, but it is you. And what we decided to put here though is, from the allegory of Plato's cave, and it's to kind of let you know that, like it's real common in the software industry for people to tell you problems that they're trying to solve. So, for a long time, we would get people coming to us saying things like, hey, can you block a patron from making reservations until we're ready for them to, and so we, like until they've signed this contract, maybe that's what they said. And so we added the signature on file feature. And then we had people coming to us and saying, hey, can we have professors approve reservations? And we're like, yeah, they just become an operator and then they, all this kind of stuff. But what we didn't realize, but those were two different solutions to the same problem. And the problem is that there's a sort of pre-booking approval process that needs to kind of come into play. And so, part of the problem or part of the challenge for us as a provider is to be able to look at these problems in general so that we can solve the problems specifically. And it's something that we need to, always be on the lookout for, that we're finding things that solve sets of problems and not, a particular problem that may only crop up at a small number of institutions. But you drive the growth. Your feedback drives the growth. And you're going to see here, as we switch to the next slide, we're attempting to increase that engagement. And we're going to do that through something here that's referred to as the Web Checkout Collective. We refer to it as the community site for a long time. You might hear us use both terms for the same thing, but it is a new website that we built. It's a WordPress site, so it's kind of built for blogs and forums and messages and all that kind of stuff. And there are 1,000,001 plugins and stuff that we can use to help us achieve that. But we're gonna introduce this in the coming weeks. We are gonna roll this out to registrants, so it's free, of course. And but we do require you to log in. Just register, and we know that you're a client coming in. And it's going to give you the ability to ask questions, get answers, share thoughts. Things like this barcode reader issue. It's not only going to be up there; it already is up there. And so that we can really try to have a more temporal, long-lasting solution to this, and referenceable solution, and overridable solution, where in a debate. So a new customer coming on tomorrow has access to the conversations from yesterday. It's not just if you're on the mailing list, if you got then you saw this email and you can contribute. And I thank everybody who has contributed to this. We think this will give an opportunity. This will give a chance to have their voice be more long-lasting and referenceable than just the mailing list that we've been using so far. But it's not just for web checkout and questions about web checkout. It is for those things, but inventory management. How, if I'm responsible for 50,000 items across campus, how in the world should I best do a stock taking of that? And the odds are that some of you have some pretty good creative ideas for how to do that sort of thing. And that if we can put a few people together who've done that with good creative ideas, it might inform the product. It might be able to take the best of all those worlds to establish a best practice that we can then promote and to help other customers. We really have high hopes for engaging people and eliciting feedback. That feedback loop to us, the feedback loop, or the feedback to each other, we're hoping is going to be provide a lot of value. We can put out new feature ideas and get people to give feedback. We may have a customer request that that we implement a certain feature, and we would have no great way to get a statistically significant sample of our customers to know whether that was a worthy pursuit or not. We do the surveys, and that works for people that happen to have read the email that has the survey. But if it went to your spam folder, or if you join tomorrow, you wouldn't be able to contribute to that survey. So we are going to have upvoting. We are going to have kind of a liking mechanism, a reply mechanism. There's a subscription mechanism to everything that's in here. So you'll be able to be notified if something new is contributed. We think that's going to be, take some of the need to check back off you to just kind of subscribe to the things that are most important to you. And then the user stories, like with green lighting or with the workflows, like how many people would really need a GUI builder for a workflow engine, or something like that. We have no way of knowing that, and we hope to foster the engagement here. We're going to put out the features that are in the next release or are scheduled to be in the next release. Sometimes things happen along the way. It's a little scary for us to commit to that, but we can give you a glimpse of what's in there and see, even give you the opportunity to like something maybe, and even documentation changes and best practices and those kinds of things. Like Nicole, who's going to be doing a presentation later, she wrote a terrific primer on handlebars and how you can use that to customize your patron portal. And unless you just kind of happen to see it in the documentation, it may not be publicized quite to the best of our abilities. So we're thinking that we'll be able to publicize those kind of things. We'll be able to get it out there, and you'll have access to it. And then it'll be sort of a way to house or reference all the webinars and study halls and different kinds of videos and things that we put out there. So it'll be in a single place. And there'll be a calendar of events, and we'll let you know what trade shows we're going to appear at and all that. Some of that's on the website already, but we do really have high hopes for that. And if you could advance to the next screen, you'll see that there are a couple samples, including the very barcode conversation that I referenced before, and some recommendations there, including a picture of Carolyn with her signature scarf. So this is something you'll see rolling out. We will help you. We'll let you know that it's there. The registration is simple. There's nothing special. There's absolutely no fee. We want you to join it, and we do hope that it's valuable. And if there are suggestions for it that we can make it better, please, 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 we want to hear it. So let's go ahead and go to the next one. So this screen is called Changes to Professional Services, but it might actually be awareness to a lot of our professional services. So each of you has an account manager that's assigned to you, and I'm sure you know who that is. But if you don't, we can always you can get in contact with us, and we'll make sure you know who it is. And that person is, somebody who's dealt with many implementations around, through all kinds of different environments. Use them, use them, ask them questions, and let us know your problems. And it doesn't have to be like a feature, like how do I use this feature? But you could say something to an account manager that's like, hey, we really have a problem with bulk authorizations at the beginning of a semester. How can we deal with this better? And maybe there's a process that we can help you with. Maybe there is a feature that is being underutilized, something like that. But we can, we're here to help. And I think one of the things that maybe isn't so much a change to our professional services, but is a change to the way we see ourselves, not necessarily as a software vendor who's here to train you how to use our software and help you get on board and then kind of wave and say, contact us if you have a problem. But we're someone who we want to be engaged through the process. We want to help you achieve your goal. We want to help you maximize your investment in WebCheckout and in software as a solution to a set of business problems, which means we need to really understand your business problems, your pain points, the areas of optimization that you see, and we need to understand that as a business process and as a way of applying our software and our services to help you with that. I just know from recent conversations that I've had with customers, there are a lot of features out there that have been included in releases, and there's one customer in particular. I know they've been with us over 10 years, and they didn't know about some really nice features that would have saved them time every time they did into a fine screen. And so these are the kind of things we want to make sure you know. So don't think of us as a sort of a one and done service, and then we wave by and wish you luck on your journey. We want to be there. We want to have touch points. Honestly, you ought to consider, like some kind of touch base mini training after a release or two to make sure that you're taking full advantages of those releases, and that you're getting the maximizing your investment, as I said. And the last one, this is totally me, my baby, as they say, data feeds. I don't think a lot of people know about the data feeds that are a part of WebCheckout. They need to be enabled on a customer by customer basis, but you can use those data feeds as a way of producing up to the minute reports that can be just automated and emailed to you on a regular basis. If you want time of day, day of week, time of, most checked out things, least checked out things, like all of those kind of things, patrons with the most cancellations, or all kinds of things. We can enable data feeds on your instance and feed you those reports through a data feed, and they just show up for you. It's something that doesn't need to take time. We would love to see more people take advantage of this. Lee developed this feature a few years ago, and we've made a few attempts to kind of promote it a little bit. But I'm urging you, if you have some thoughts on it, reach out to me, reach out to your account manager. Let's see if we can find a way to give you the kind of data you need for analytics, or the kind of data you need to make budgeting and forecasting decisions, or just get your manager off your back. Let's look at that. So, okay, switch to the next slide, please. And here we have a summary of the services. Most of you, when you came on board a long time ago, you used these onboarding services to get your data in shape, training, all that kind of stuff. The data migration is something we can always do for you, or was probably a part of that initial setup. If it's an integration, it's probably in place already. But there are lots of different kinds of data munging that we can help you with. Branding and customization. If your patron portal doesn't look like your institution's colors and logo, that's something you can do yourself. There's the great Nicole's terrific guide to that, or you can, or we can do that for you. You know, we offer those kinds of services. We can make your emails, your print templates all look the way you want them. If you want, you know, your printouts to have certain things on them. There's continuing education. I mentioned that one earlier, where we can, you know, like kind of help you with new releases. There's the analytics. Those are kind of the things I was talking about before. The automation, the integration with third-party systems. That one's an ever-evolving list of things that we're required to do. But we do, you know, like in the branding and customization, I didn't mention it, but we have an API, and that's a question that you know, a lot of people ask us. It's a free API for you to use, and it could be used for a lot of things. One of our customers developed a whole like operator front end, or excuse me, a patron front end that served their specific purposes using the API. It's the same API we use to access the back end. And then you know, just process improvements, doing more with less, and you know, like figuring out like what your pain points are. We want to help you with that sort of thing. Again, we don't see ourselves as software vendors per se. We kind of see ourselves as as people that can really help with the inventory management practice, your practice. We want to understand it. We want to help simplify it. We want to help like make the most of it with by using our product. So I think at that point we are, if you'll advance, let's grow. So anyway, I didn't save much time for questions, but does anybody have any questions that they'd like to ask just from that? Yeah, Migdio, we'd love to get you the automated reports. I can see that there.
Any other questions? Don't hesitate to ask those questions either via chat. You can also feel free to reach out to us after the user symposium. We're always happy to help you all out. But yeah, thank you so much for that presentation, Eric. You did a really great job, and I'm so excited to see the community site in action. That's WebCheckout Collective. So we do just have a few minutes before our next presentation is scheduled to start. This is a good time for everyone to grab that snack, a big or small snack, as well as a coffee. And it looks like we do have a question from the chat that looks like to be directed to the other users potentially. That's asking how many folks are on your teams at your checkout centers. I think that's what you're asking. Is that correct? Yeah. So how?
It is correct. Yeah, I run WebCheckout basically on my own. I just wonder how many people have who's on their team in the front and who does, you know, more some of the back end stuff of WebCheckout.
Yeah, that's a great question. Does anybody want to weigh in on that question? How many are at your checkout center? And I'm just sharing our agenda if you're wondering what's going on the screen. To mind folks, we'll be getting started again back at 12.
We have kind of a, I don't know if it's a normal or a different structure. Brittany can weigh in on that. We have two sides to ours, and one guy runs that side with one group of equipment, and I run the other side with a different group of equipment. So I kind of run solo. I do have someone who can help check things out. I have a work study student who can help. Does that answer what you're looking for?
Yeah, thank you. Just interesting to see how many people support WebCheckout at their universities, places of work.
Yeah, it looks like we had a lot of answers in the chat too. So it looks like one team has a team of 4, 2. Somebody has a team as large as 8 to 10 staff. Wow.
Wow.
Big team. 4 supervisors and 40 student workers working at the service desk. And I think if I see that logo correctly, that's Loyola University Chicago. So 40 student workers. I recognize that. That's where I graduated from. Someone has 2 backend staff with 15 student staff handling the checkouts. Wow. There's a big range in the amount of teams working at WebCheckout or with WebCheckout. All right.
Brittany, if I may add, hi, this is McDeal from Lehman. How are you?
Hi.
For us, it's a bit strange. We have 3 checkout centers, and we have in our main checkout center, we have about 8 people working, 1 manager. And for the fall semester, we're bringing in a team of work studies as well. So 8 from 1 checkout center, 5 in the other, and 4 in the other. That's 19, I guess.
Oh, wow.
No, 18. But of course, they're all within the same organization.
That's a pretty large team, kind of spread out into multiple centers. All right, it looks like we're right at 12:00 p.m. Central Time, and our second session of the day is just about ready to get started. It will be led by Jeannie Clark, and she will be previewing some of our newest features coming your way in the August 2022 release, and also reviewing some of our staff favorite features. So thank you, Jeannie, take it away.
Thanks, Brittany, and thank you, Eric. And thank you all for joining us today. It's really exciting to see you all and actually seeing the discussion that's happening in chat. I echo Eric, we want to make this interactive and fun and conversational. So we have reserved time during this part of my presentation today, and actually at the end of the day tomorrow. We've got a big bulk of time tomorrow where we're going to break out in small groups and allow you guys to have these conversations. So it's really great for us to show you these new features and what we're working on and the application in our professional services. But we know there's a lot of value in having discussions with each other. So thank you again for joining. And I'm very happy to be here today. Again, I'm Jeannie Clark, and I will be highlighting features that will be coming in the August release, and also features that are available to you now. So the past 2.5 years have been a lot. It's been a lot for all of us. We've all been through a lot, and some of us are still going through a lot, but we're here, and we as WebCheckout, we haven't stopped growing, and we haven't stopped developing new features. So in case you missed it, and in honor of our recent media partner who joined us, BuzzFeed, we've got 27 staff picked features you wish you knew sooner, just to catch you guys up to speed. So let's go. Well, let's see. Let's try that again. All right. So we're going to begin with our new features and improvements that are coming up in the August release. So our development team, they're busy working on that now. And we're growing, not just the features that the application can do for you, but we're growing the reach of WebCheckout and the things that the application can manage and circulate. Right. So the August release features, it focuses a lot of improvements on the facilities and the green lighting apps. Facilities was released actually July of last year to manage physical keys to access equipment and door locks, a use case that Franklin and Marshall College brought to us. AJ and Bill Stark from Franklin and Marshall, they will be demonstrating and showing us how they use the facilities app and how they manage keys for student housing and buildings on campus, and how it integrates, how the facilities app integrates with their student housing systems. So stay tuned for that for this afternoon, and we've made great improvements to that app with the help of Franklin and Marshall, excuse me. And then additionally, the green lighting app, which was just released this year, in March of this year, we made improvements to that app, and it, as a reminder, the green lighting app allows you to track academic equipment usage, such as projects for film schools or even event projects or events on campus. And this also green lighting allows one or many patrons to book to a project. So if you have group projects, not just one student, now multiple patrons can say, I'm working on this project and these are the equipment that I need to reserve. All right. So these two applications received some TLC. The facilities app received a user interface lift, and it also includes now features, reporting capabilities similar to WebCheckout's Find pages. The green lighting app also features these reporting capabilities and a new feature to automatically generate unique IDs. Many of you, I've been with WebCheckout for lots of years, so you know that we love unique identifiers. Green lighting requires many unique IDs, and we've released this new capability to automatically create them. You can set the key, which is really cool. And with green lighting, we also included the ability to retroactively add projects to existing checkouts. So I saw in our chat, we have a customer from Philadelphia, Mac. He's representing the Glass Entertainment Group, another production company. They are trialing green lighting, and they brought up a case that we didn't think about. They're using WebCheckout. They're tracking projects, their film productions, and they want to go ahead and add these projects to their existing checkout. So we've got that feature coming out in the August release, and I'll show you some of that features later today. Now, additionally, the August release features improvements to scheduling repeats. So similar to a calendar event, you can now select multiple days of the week for repeating reservations. We've also added home location to move this resource modal, so making it easier for managers to move equipment. And we've also added the dates to exported files. So if you're exporting data, we now have the dates, so you know exactly when that information was captured out of WebCheckout. And then another big highlight I'd like to mention here is the autocomplete fields now include results by custom unique IDs. I'll show you this because this is a huge win for many of you. So when you're searching for people, you can now search by the custom unique identifier. So this need for this improvement actually was brought to our attention by our friends at Temple University. So they're moving away from the single barcode to represent a person, and now they're given two unique barcodes, one that relates to a tapper and another that's generated on their phone. So both barcodes are different, but they're unique to that person. So while they can currently include unique values, you guys can create unique IDs and custom properties now. In the August release, you can now search by and actually create checkouts and reservations by these new custom unique IDs, right? And with Temple's user story, we were able to improve this. They told us the problem, how they want to use it, and we were able to provide them the solution. And this, I believe, many of you will find useful. And so let's see how this works. So I'm going to go into WebCheckout now, and I'm going to highlight this new autocomplete feature of finding people by custom unique identifiers. I'm going to actually start by finding this person by their name. This is Sally, the student. So if you're not familiar with this quick search feature, it's a great way where you can search by barcode, ID, and now unique identifiers. All right, so this is Sally. Sally, the student. You can see her name is here. We have her person ID. This is also a unique value. You guys are familiar with person ID. This is what she will use to log into the application, log into WebCheckout. We also have another barcode. Her barcode is Fierce Feline. This has to be unique. And then finally, I've created a custom property, called it Grow Unique Identifier, and her ID value there is Grumpy Cat. So now I can search for Sally by all of these fields. I can search by her name. So we already saw that Sally, the student, shows up by her name. I can search by her person ID, which is Tabby. Tabby, there she is. I can also search by barcode. There's Feline, there's Tabby. And then the new and improved feature coming your way in August, I can now search by Grumpy Cat, if I could spell that correctly. And there she is, Grumpy Cat. Sally comes up in her record. So this is great, not only for these unique for different if you have multiple unique identifiers, but I've also heard of use cases of preferred names. You may want to search by patrons by preferred names. You can now do that, assuming that the preferred name value is unique. So maybe Sally prefers to be called Wolverine. You will definitely then have to include Wolverine, maybe Sally's last name or something else to make that unique. And now I can also search by Wolverine Grumpy Cat. She's still, there she is. All right, so that's a great feature coming out to you this way. All right, and I'm going to actually move backwards from this for the features that I listed. So we found that, we just demonstrated that you can search by custom unique IDs. Another helpful feature that we discussed was that you can now schedule repeat reservations, just like scheduling calendar recurring calendar events. So I'll go ahead and show you that feature here as well. I'll go ahead and create a new reservation. We'll create it for Sally and we'll put in Wolverine. There she is. We'll pick a project. Since we're highlighting the new features, this is part of the green lighting module. If you have that, you can select project. Or if you do track groups, I'm not demonstrating that here, but that is a recent new feature. You can actually select a group for the reservation as well. But we're going to select the project here. We are good with those dates. We'll submit that. We need to add a content. We'll just select a value, an item that's available here. And then now the great new feature for repeats. If Sally needs these items every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, ta-da, click and add. No more going to adding each day of the week individually. All right. And I believe that was a feature brought to a request brought in from our friends at Penn State University. All right. And moving on to another feature that I discussed was the move this resource has been added to the, home location field has been added to the move this resource. So I'll show you this example here. This feature was actually requested or written into us by our friends in South Texas. South Texas College, the library system uses WebCheckout to manage fixed equipment. So all of their, so mostly non-circulating equipment. So laptops, workstations, projectors, screens like that. So they're the equipment that lives somewhere. So this Mac Pro, you will see it lives in Edit Bay Room 1. Now, if something was wrong with this Mac Pro and I need to move it out of this checkout setting, maybe I'm decommissioning it, you have the option to move this resource. With WebCheckout, if an item has a home location, you either have to swap it out or you'll have to break that relationship. We've now added it to this modal here so you can take care of all those changes in one screen. Right? Again, this is a feature request brought in by our customers our clients at South Texas College. All this to say, we listen to you, we hear you. So we want that feedback. We're here to help. All right. And now I'm going to shift to green lighting. If you go to our website or to the community site, we will have links to previous webinars. We did have a webinar in March where we highlighted green lighting and all the great new features. A new feature added to the August release is this unique ID generator. Now we'll go into more details when we do a August release webinar, but this is a great feature to now allow you to set the unique ID values, and WebCheckout will automatically generate them when you create the new entity. All right. So when you create a new project or when you create a new role, it'll automatically fill in that unique ID. Now, there are a lot of entities in WebCheckout or in green lighting. So in green lighting, you have a project. You can have project types. Projects can have roles, and projects can have templates, and those templates have roles. All these entities or all these things that you can manage really gives you a lot of power, and it gives you the ability to track the information you need, but it also means that you have to fill in a unique ID. So this generator makes thinking about, oh, what's the unique ID for this? It takes the thinking away and it just generates it for you. With a unique ID, there's two requirements: a prefix, what you see here, that's typically a text value, and we also recommend including a dash. You see this most frequently in our allocation, so checkouts and reservations, we always ask for that CK-ID, that's the prefix here. And then there is the second field, which is a counter pattern, right? A counter pattern, you can actually leave it blank, and WebCheckout will just automatically include that counter as start at 0. The first record will be 1 that you create through the application, but you can customize this as well and have it start at 1,000 if I wanted to, and then it'd go up. The next project type would be 1,001, 1,002, so on and so forth. But the digits that you include there, it just represents the padding in front of the actual the counter. All right, so I've added these fields, and there's actually with the, I should call out with the prefix, we've added some additional features to the prefix. So you can add a fixed value or a timestamp value, as you've seen I've done here with projects. So with a fixed value, this only works with roles currently, with project roles and project template roles. But when there is a parent relationship, you guys are maybe familiar, resources always go to a resource type. Resource types might have parent resource types as well, so that relationship, you can now reference the parent unique ID, and then it'll append it with the counter, so making that new record unique as well. So that's a fixed value, and that's represented with a square bracket. Then we have timestamp values with the curly Q bracket. So when I create a new project, it's going to include the 4-digit year and then the 2-digit month. And this is, you can change this for internationalization of timing, but this is really great. So when a project creates, I know exactly the year and the month that I created this project. All right. So let's see how this works. So I'm going to create a blank project. You can see with my project, again, I've got the year, the month, and then the counter starts at 0. So from when I create a blank project, ta-da, it includes the prefix, proj dash, then my 4-digit year dash 2-digit month, and then my counter, the sequence starting at 1. So let's create a project. I'm going to call this thing like a bee. And the owner is going to be Wolverine, who also known as Sally the student. It's an advanced project. These are all these great fields that you can include, section policy classes. And this is a great new feature, submit and create another, but I'm just going to submit and create this one. I've created this project for Sally, and there's going to be roles. So other people are going to play a part in this project. They may be able to also reserve equipment and book to this project Sting Like a Bee. So I'm going to add roles. Okay. We're going to add a role, and with that unique identifier, with my project role, I included that fixed value. So it referenced the unique ID of what it's related to, which is the project. And then it added the counter to make it now a unique role. So this role is going to be called the DP, the Director of Photography, and they can enter and they can circulate, and this person is going to be, Holly's on my mind, Holly, and we're going to submit that. So that is the benefit of the unique identifier, the automatic unique ID generator. I didn't have to think about it. It's automatically going to continue and count it up. So for green lighting, you got that to look forward to. All right. Now we do see that this feature, it can make its way into other places in the application. So if you have feedback on this feature, or if you're interested in green lighting, let us know. All right. So there's a lot more happening in the August release. I'll say a lot of it's under the hood. So the theme of this is growth. to grow, sometimes you got to go back, look at the foundation, make sure your cards are in order so that you can, you've got the right foundation to grow. We've got that. You will see improvements to functionality, to stability, all that we always pay attention to and make sure that you guys are getting the best out of each release. All right. Okay. So I'm now going to transition to the 27 staff picked features you wish you knew sooner. So as I started this session, I mentioned we haven't stopped developing and we haven't stopped growing. So we're going to take a moment here and we're going to take this opportunity to share with you our list of the 27 staff picked features you wish you knew sooner. We will post this to the community site. So here we go. So I'm not going to read all of these off, but I'm just going to highlight a few things. So starting with this, with circulation features that we wish you knew sooner, or that you may wish you knew sooner. We've added features to address social distancing and receiving equipment. So most recently, and this is again in response to COVID, things we're tracking in the right direction. But if you are still continuing to maintain, how many people can come in or out of your checkout center, please utilize your circulation windows. And if you are receiving equipment, so student patrons return their equipment, place it for you to check in to WebCheckout at a later time, we have this new receive status as well. And then most recently, I do want to highlight with circulation features, we did add the ability to create custom policy classes or patron classes as well. But with policy classes, you can now apply a policy set to your group members, and those will override your individual patron class policies, right? Okay, now moving on with patron portal features. Did you know that patron portal is WCAG 2.0 level AA compliant? If you've talked to Sean Farrell recently, then you sure do. But we are very proud that patron portal is WCAG compliant, and it can allow your parents, and patron portal can allow your patrons now to renew their own checkouts. And to improve that user experience, if you haven't already, you can use fallback types. So when your patrons select resources of a type and they're all checked out, they're not available, you can now recommend a type, or you can recommend a type that's similar to fulfill their request, their reservation. Okay. And then moving on, we hope you're all taking advantage and tracking resource condition grade, or how else do you keep track of your equipment that you need to replace, or your return on investment on that equipment. And speaking of investments, save some cash and utilize the camera on your mobile device to scan barcodes anywhere you can see the barcode field, entry field. So you can use that for the mobile inventory module, as well as on the front page of WebCheckout. You can scan barcodes with the camera on your mobile device. And then moving on to data and reporting. There are a lot of wonderful features in data and reporting. We have all the data, and you can save the find pages. So if you are frequently visiting the find resources page or find resource schedules report, be sure that you're utilizing the modify this search and save it, customize your search, save it. So you've got your result columns, your search terms, all there, and you just click the button. No more having to reconfigure each time you run that report. And take reporting to the next level. Eric's talked about data feeds. I've talked about and presented data feeds. It will send data up to the minute, WebCheckout data to any third-party system, such as Google Sheets, or Power BI or Tableau. And this way you don't have to run those reports. Even though we've got the shortcuts with save searches, have the data automatically feed into Google. And then from Google, you can create reports using Google Data Studio, or again, Power BI or Tableau, whatever data visualizer you do, it can be automated. So while we can't visualize and provide the graphs at this time for you to see it, we have the data and we can help you to make those data-driven decisions. And then with branding, not only do we have the features for you to brand Patron Portal or even customize your email templates, the handlebars that Eric was mentioning that Nicole put out, that is on our documentation site. So we have now tips on how to include lists and how to include, I believe, accessories, all these frequently asked requests that we've had from customers. That's all documented now on our website. So you can customize your email templates too. But if that's too much, and again, you're asked to do more with less, contact us. We can help you to do that. We can customize and match the feel of the look and feel of your institution, not only with Patron Portal, but again, with the email templates as well. All right. And then application shortcuts. So I just briefly mentioned there's the new submit and create another feature. That's a great new feature that's recently came out, I believe, in the March release. And the location of the backup database button, we moved that to the import data app. It's definitely important to back up and save your data. But before you import data, it's definitely when you want to back up, because in case your data goes awry or it's not what you expected, contact support. We can always roll back your database to when you just press backup. And then finally, if your whole team or institution is not using WebCheckout, why not? It's scalable, it has oodles of features, and not to mention our hosting solution takes the IT burden off of your team and allows us to provide you with the latest and greatest version of WebCheckout with very little disruption or downtime. We track all the tickets and how many communications, how long tickets are open, and if the customers are hosted or if they're on premise. So that means that the server's managed with the customer. And we track how long it takes to open or how long those tickets stay open. And those usually stay open relatively similar time. Actually, I take that back, I'm sorry. Depending on how we can schedule it, but they don't stay open similar time. The hosted close much shorter. And with the hosted customers, there's on average maybe 4 communications back and forth, just making sure these dates work for you. Oh, that's great. 4. With on-premises customers, those tickets have more than, on average, more than 30 back and forth communications, making sure IT has this corrected, making sure all the server requirements are updated. All this to say, we're all trying to do more with less. We're here to help you, and a hosting solution will make sure that you are, again, up to date with the latest features with little disruption to you. All right, now we're going to take the remainder of the time and actually engage in small group breakouts. When I post this question to our staff, it's been 2.5 years. Let's catch everyone up, or let's catch our customers up on what's been going on. I asked for what features should our customers know about. I was expecting to sift through and have so many duplicated responses from our team that the list was going to be short. But we've had a list of 27, and I could have probably added more, and there were very little duplicated features. There's a lot of great features in WebCheckout. So we're going to take this time now, not so that you can hear us telling you what features we think you may like, but for now, for you all to come together in a small group and talk amongst each other on what features or favorite features or tips or tricks that you're using with WebCheckout that you find most beneficial. So what we're going to do for the next 15 minutes, we'll do 10 minutes, excuse me. For the next 10 minutes, we're going to break out into small groups, right? And within your groups, just talk about and share your favorite WebCheckout tips or tricks or things that you're doing that's integrated with WebCheckout, something that you want to share. Take this time to network and discuss amongst yourselves. And then after the 10 minutes, we're going to regroup. So within your group, nominate a team lead to present your group's favorite features, 1 or 2, and then we'll come back and talk and share with the entire group. And as a special brownie point, if you can name a feature that we haven't already mentioned, you'll get special brownie points from me. All right, are we all on the same page? We're going to break out into small groups. It's 1:30 Eastern time. And so at 1:40, we'll come back. So let me try this breakout session. This will be a great tryout for our tomorrow. So let's go into breakout rooms.
Okay, I'm admitting people from the weight room, and it looks like people are joining. Coming back from those rooms.
I skipped a snack when I heard we were going into the weight room.
All right, well, thank you guys. It looks like everyone is back into the main room. And so this is the first time we've done the breakout room live, and I think I overestimated the number of rooms we needed. Although it did nicely put 4 to 6 people in a room, I now recognize some people, I'll have to call out how to join a breakout room. So I hope you guys found that all beneficial and helpful. I'm gonna call, I have each room, so I'm gonna call, I'll start from the bottom, room 7. You may not have known what room you're in, but I believe that was the room with Paul Brown, Jessica Overton, and I believe it's Laura. Oh, no, I'm sorry, Kathy and Kelly. So room 7, I'm gonna go back there. I think I have to stop presenting. What is a favorite feature, tip, or trick that you would like to share with the group? Could I nominate someone from room 7? So Paul, Kelly, Jessica, or is that Kathy?
Yeah, one of the things I said was I really enjoy the copy allocation feature.
Why do you find this useful? I'm sure.
People call in for the same equipment, or once the renewals have run out and we have to re-enter the same order. Renew the renewal.
That's exactly the use case. Or anything else from room 7? Great feature. Or move to room 6. Whoever, those that were in room 6, Shelly, Nicole, Julius, and Corey.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
You hear me okay there?
Yes, Corey.
Corey Downing, Fanshawe College, London, Ontario. And just a thing, Jeannie, we saw from your presentation that looked like it might alleviate a little issue that's been coming up, was the new kind of unique IDs and patron records for people. So across our college, we've been transitioning from magnetic swipes to barcodes and now to RFID. So we've been kind of testing out some of these little RFID scanners that have the technology built into student staff cards. And yeah, so going forward, that we can still keep all the kind of legacy information in our records, and then use this as a new way to interact with patrons at desks.
Great. I'm glad to hear that. Thank you for sharing. Right. We're going to move over to room 5. It was Marilyn and Elaine.
Hello.
Hello.
Elaine had commented that her favorite was that the patrons were added automatically. I'm pretty sure. And then also that the emails would go out so that when people were kind of absent-minded and didn't get things back on time, that the emails were just generated out to the patrons automatically. For me, especially since I'm so new and just using this for the last year, I found my favorite feature to be customer service, because when I have a question, of which I've had many, I get a response back within a very quick time. Maybe a few hours at the longest, but I found that the most helpful, because I wasn't able to learn the system because I wasn't supposed to work last summer. I wasn't able to learn the system as well as the other guy who from the other side. And so I've had a lot of questions over the year.
Well, you've come to the right place, and thanks for joining. And Marilyn, can you please, do you mind sharing what institution you're with and how long you've been with WebCheckout?
Minneapolis Community Tech College in Minnesota. And we started getting everything last July with Brittany, and then we went live, I'll say like September 1st. So
Well,
it's been, thank you. It's been a steep learning curve for me.
And we're here to support you. The community is here to support you. So I hope you find this helpful, and thanks for sharing the tips. Okay, we're gonna move on to room 4, and in that room, we're to be Migdio and Dustin, I believe, and AJ.
Hi, I'm Dustin Lomax. I work at Western Carolina University. We've been using WebCheckout since 2011. And I have been using WebCheckout for about 6 months. So doing the coordination stuff there. But we had talked about a couple things. Migdio said that he likes the ability to scan in information via barcode and be able to put those barcodes in the system. It's been really helpful, or is looking forward to that feature the most. And I actually find that really useful too, especially when I'm doing like inventory. It's much easier than reading off every tag and manually putting it in. So
Sure.
I do appreciate that as well. And then the feature that I find very useful is being able to put information about the assets that we have. Whether that be condition, like we were talking about earlier, or just like serial numbers, warranty information, pretty much, whatever we need to put in, we can put in somewhere, and that's been really useful for us.
Great, thank you for sharing. Efficiencies. It's really testing my surprise. And welcome to, I share that same sentiment with Marilyn. I hope you find this useful and connect with the community. One of my favorite things of working with WebCheckout is customer base. We've got such an engaged community that allows launching like the WebCheckout community site collective. It's exciting for us to continue this conversation, to have you guys connect. So thanks, Dustin. All right, and we'll move to the next room. That's room 3, and that room included Romeo, Mayabeth, John, Jack, and Annie. Room 3.
Hello, this is
Annie.
Annie from Santa Clara University in California. Our team share a couple things, including Mayabeth's favorite of the feature called receiving. I don't use patron portal, so I find it very fascinating how the equipment can be received and marked as received, and then later on be reviewed and checked back in.
Annie, do you mind explaining a little on your use case and how you use that receiving status, the checkout receive? Why do you use it, or how?
Yeah, hi, I'll jump
Oh,
in.
sure.
Hi, everyone. So yeah, my name is Maya Beth. I work at Wayne State University in Detroit. We use most of our activity on WebCheckout is done through the at least on the student side, is done through Patron Portal. We train up all of our students to use that, utilize it for their class projects. And we also do a lot of curbside checkout, especially since the COVID-19 pandemic. So that mark checkout is received feature was great for us because we kind of shifted from students physically coming up to we're up on the 4th floor in a building. So we kind of shifted from students coming up here to check out their equipment and went more the route of sending our student staff down to the 1st floor and doing curbside checkouts. So when we get a package of gear back now, we'll mark it as received right away. And then we will take more time to check everything really thoroughly before we return everything in the system. So that receive function has been great for us the last couple of years. I can't remember exactly when it was implemented, but we're really digging that.
Great. Thanks for sharing that use case. And Annie, I think my internet broke. I now get it. You don't use Patron Portal, so you don't use the receive status. So thank you for team 3 on that. Thank you for sharing. Okay, team 2. That included Matt, Steve, Katie, John, and Don. Team 2.
Hey, this is Don.
Hi, Don.
I will say, Kate, we didn't realize how much time we had. So Katie and I did the majority of the talking, and unfortunately, John, Matt, and Steve got a little bit left out of the discussion. So I apologize to them for that. But Katie talked quite a bit about the mobile inventory app and how much they love that and exactly how they use that. And it sounded fantastic. So she was a huge proponent of that.
Thank you, Katie. And Katie actually was a huge proponent on helping create this module. Katie, can I put you on the spot and ask what you find useful or helpful about this module? Or maybe Don, if you wanted to represent still?
I'll let Katie jump in on that.
Thank you.
Hi, guys. I was just going into how we have a lot of fixed assets, and the mobile inventory app allows us to really, really efficiently run our audit cadence every year. We do a physical sweep of inventory out installed all across campus, and I did 14,000 objects this year on just one student with a barcode scanner and their phone. So it's been amazing for us. Really, really efficient.
You use the phone barcode scanner too. Yay, great. Well,
Hey, can I cite that Connor Sullivan, valued member of our develop team and attendee here, did that single-handedly. And it's under Lee's supervision, but still, it was a heck of an effort.
yes, thank you. Got one screen here, so I'll come back to typing that. Thank you, Katie, for sharing. And then last but certainly not least, room 1. And that was a room with Ryan, Eric, and David.
I think David, I don't know if we missed you there. I apologize if we did.
There were a couple of people who just, they didn't join or didn't move to the room. So that's me to make sure that everyone knows how to join a breakout room, but that's all right. No problem. Ryan, would you like to share?
Yeah, that's all right. I had a bit of a one-on-one there, so that was okay. But I said the circulation intervals is really helpful to us because during COVID, we fully changed our workflow and made everything reservation-based, where students aren't necessarily even coming straight up to our window anymore. They're kind of just coming in the front of the checkout center. We have carts ready for them, and then they take it in and out, sign for their stuff, and go. So it allows us to streamline things and stagger out. We do 3 per 15 minutes. The only thing reservation about that is it's hard to distinguish. That could be 3 very large orders in that 15 minutes. There's no way to really say, okay, we can do 3 small ones, but if they're bigger, we can only do 1.
Yes.
So sometimes we run into bumps there, but overall that has been a tremendous asset to us. and Eric was mentioning the pick list. That's not something that I've used at all, but that's something that now I want to look into. So for when we're actually pulling our orders and things like that, that might be helpful, because right now most of our students either print out just the order with the non-reservable items that people list in their allocation notes, or they'll take a picture of it on their phone when they go back to the warehouse to kind of grab things.
Got it. And that was a pick list that Eric mentioned. Yeah, great. I could leave that there. Sorry, I didn't mean to delete that. Great. Well, thank you all for sharing. I hope you, we will share this on our community site with some of our customers' favorite tips and tricks. I really do appreciate it. And I hope you all found that networking experience beneficial as well. This, again, with all of our webinars, we do like to reserve time for discussions, and that's why we're here. All right, so that is it for me today. Thank you all for joining. Are there any questions? We have a few minutes of questions or anything you want to discuss before we go into the break.
Could I just throw out there and ask, how do people generate their barcodes? Do they do it in Word or Excel, or do they use a special printer?
Marilyn, I was just responding to your message there, but
Okay.
sorry, I was trying to figure it out myself. But we at our university, we have some barcodes that are already like pre-existing on the assets that we track. And the stuff that we get is we just order that, like those barcodes come from a different company. So it's not stuff that we generate ourselves. And I think almost everything, it's just stuff we buy. So.
Okay. I have some that come on some gear, and then some I would have to add too. So.
Hi, Marilyn.
Hi.
So for our department, for outdoor equipment, we purchase foiled barcode from outside companies. But for smaller items that we don't like, they don't necessarily out in the field all the time. We use the Brother P-Touch label makers, and there's a barcode function. So
they actually create and print a barcode then.
Right. So you just determine what your barcode sequence is. So for us, it's a 6 digits, so 10 something something. So we just input that in, saying that this is the barcode we want, and they do have a numbering feature. So each time it prints, it adds the number to the next one. So we can print 10 with like sequential orders. So that's when we do small, and usually sometimes if the foil barcode break, we don't have a replacement for it. We also print it out using the Brother P-Touch label maker.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you guys. That's been helpful.
Yeah, just to chime in, I mean, probably what everyone else is doing, we buy them in bulk, but there are certainly times when we need to create a second barcode or, or something customized, and we'll create an additional one like Annie was talking about with the Brother software. What's really cool with that is you can put graphics and other text in, so you can describe the item more if we want to, add our phone number or other information. So that's really good, and you can have templates that you just open up and then you put the proper size cartridge in and just print out.
Okay, so then that's the Brother printer is a separate item.
Yeah, we have a couple of the desktop ones that plug in via USB, and then the software included is pretty good.
Okay, all right.
So
Very helpful.
is that printing on a pretty durable medium?
Yeah, there's all sorts of different types of tapes. They're those P-Touch tapes, but they do make a couple of not the wide variety of colors. Colors is another thing we use to sometimes identify by department, but there are more durable models essentially.
Okay, excellent.
They even have iron-ons, because we sometimes put equipment in our bags and we want to tag the bags. But I have to say, like, if the fabric is too stretchy, the barcode will kind of fall apart, like as you pull on the fabric. So we ended up just printing it in regular tape and then putting it inside a laminating pouch and then attach it to the canvas bags. We basically have bags where we put like DVD player with cables and remotes in the bag, because they don't come with a case. So
Okay.
I want to add to that quickly. At Lehman, we purchase, as I wrote in the chat, barcode software. It is cumbersome to learn, but the benefit to that to us is that we could generate our own barcodes with our own logo and move things around and be nimble. Because at one time we ran out of barcodes and it took more than a week to get the order in. So I embarked into that. And we also print barcodes for our cables, and we use something like this. It goes on the laser printer. And the positive end is that it has a clear piece that covers the barcode and protects it. Now, on the other end, when we use the vinyl print, something like this, is that if you use a laser printer, over time it fades. So you have to put a layer of Scotch tape on it so you protect it. So there are pros and cons about that, and it's cumbersome as you learn how to use the application. But you can do your things faster if you need something in a pinch or customize something in a pinch.
And which product was that?
It's called Bartender.
Okay. Thank you very much, guys. You got me a lot of things to research. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone, for addressing Marilyn's question there. And there's a lot of great information in the chat there, Marilyn, for you and for everyone else about barcodes and printers. Great. If nothing else now, we'll break and come back at 2 p.m.
You got it. We'll see you folks back here at 2 p.m. Central Time. That's 3 p.m. Eastern Time and 12 p.m. Pacific Time for our final 2 very exciting sessions of the day. So I'll see you folks later in an hour. Bye.
Bye.
Everyone. Bye.